Welcome to Customer Service Academy Radio with author and customer experience expert Tony Johnson. Tony will share his vision for successful customer service, leadership, and business excellence, and speak to some of the most impactful leaders in business today. And now, here's Tony Johnson.
Hello everybody, Customer Service Academy is on the air. I'm Tony Johnson, your customer experience strategist and trainer. Today's episode coming to you courtesy of Ignite Your Service Training and Consulting and 4XI Global Consulting and Solutions. Truly better together. Folks, I will tell you what, it is a big week. I am heading off on vacation and I could not be more excited. I have been on the road training and speaking and consulting, and I am really ready for a break, as many of us are after we've put in a lot of hours out there in the world. And speaking of putting in a lot of hours, if you want to figure out how to really drive your leadership, head on over and check out my 6 canons of customer service. They will help you lead your team and serve your guests, customers, and consumers even better. You can check that out at igniteyourservice.com/6canons. I'll put a link down in the show notes so you can head on over directly and invest in yourself and your team today. But again, I am so excited to be heading on vacation. It is one of those moments. We're heading off on a cruise, and I will tell you, we had our first taste of it last year. Really excited to try again. We're actually trying something a little bit different this time. We're going to try the concierge level. I'm doing some comparison. Really, what do you get for the money as you kind of upgrade your cruise experience? Stay tuned. I'll be doing a full report next week on that. But I will tell you, as I think about heading out on vacation, I've been doing a lot of research on this, been talking to a lot of people, and as I've been out in the world, working with organizations and kind of seeing what their vacation policy is, I will tell you it's still dramatic out there that many, many folks are not taking their vacation. In fact, the stats are still showing that almost 50%, something like 46, 47% of U.S. American workers are not taking all of their either PTO, time off, vacation, that kind of thing. And that's a real shame, because there's some serious stats out there that show it can reduce your heart disease, it can make you healthier, it can improve your productivity. From the employer side, it'll improve your employee engagement, improves your employee retention, their overall productivity, and also how long they will stay with the organization and how much discretionary effort they're going to put in. They're also going to rate better on their performance evaluations, because they are frankly going to do a better job. They're going to be more creative, they're going to be more dedicated, and it really just all the way around, there's no argument for why you shouldn't take your vacation time and your PTO. Now, I will tell you, I spent many years in corporate America myself before I struck out on my own. I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible at taking my vacation. I feel all of the folks out there who struggle with that, because it's one of those things where it's really easy to think that you'll be seen as weaker, that you'll be seen as someone who takes too much time off, that you'll be seen as almost lazy in a way for taking your vacation. I would tell you, I wish someone would have given me an attitude adjustment 20 years ago on this whole thing, because I bet you I left months of vacation time on the table by the time I left to start my own business and consulting. And it's a shame, because it doesn't have to be that way. With a little bit of preparation, with a little bit of thinking and forethought, it really can be something that's beneficial for both sides of the equation, for both employers and for employees. And I will tell you, on the employee side, take that time, commit to do it, get ready, get someone ready to take on your responsibilities, put in that out of office, who's your contact. There should be no good reason why you shouldn't be able to plan your vacation in a way where you can leave, know that someone has your back, you've got all your stuff taken care of and your ducks in a row, you've handed off stuff that's open, and people know who to get in touch with if they need to while you're gone. And then everything else will be there when you get back. Now, I will tell you, the one terrible, terrible piece of advice I've been hearing out there is something called email bankruptcy. And this is where team members come back and they basically just delete everything that's in their inbox when they come back from a vacation or time off, assuming that if it's important, someone will email back. That's terrible advice. Don't ever, ever do that. Triage it when you get back. Put a reasonable response time when you get back from a vacation or time off. Let people know that you're obviously not going to respond to everything on day one, because there's only so many hours in a day when you come back. And just level set those expectations. But please don't just delete everything and assume that the important stuff will get back to you. On the other side of that, on the employer side, make sure that you're making it as easy as you can for folks to take their time off, because we're hearing a lot of reports out there of something called quiet vacationing. This is where people are pretty sure their bosses aren't going to be okay with them taking time off, or they don't have enough time off. and they're basically going on vacation, remote workers just going on vacation and working around their vacation activities while they're gone and doing just kind of the bare minimum to make sure they get the really important stuff done. But for the most part, they're on the beach or they're at the theme parks or they're off having a good time, and they're calling that quiet vacationing because they're not telling their boss they're on vacation. They're not taking any PTO against it, but they're doing it because they assume there's a reason why they wouldn't be allowed to take time off. People just don't do stuff like that. There's always a reason. And so as we continue to try to get that pendulum to swing from one side to the other and settle back in the middle, where people are taking their time off and also employers are reasonable about people taking their time off, this stuff's going to continue until that pendulum settles. So the more reasonable you can be, the more you can work together, the more you understand it's a two-way street, the easier it is for folks to get their vacation time in and not feel like they have to cheat the system to do it, because that's not right. And everybody deserves that time off for peace of mind, for mental health, for productivity, for the ability just to come in and crush it and be creative and productive, as I said. So there's so many good reasons why it should happen. Let's try to work together. And that's the ask. If you're listening to this, work together to do the best you can to make sure folks get their time off. So as I said, I have been out and about doing a lot of training, a lot of speaking, and a lot of working with organizations to really dial in that hospitality and guest experience piece. It's been a huge part of what I've been doing the last month or so. And it's been a lot of boots on the ground. And I would tell you, I had a tremendous experience going through New York City a couple of weeks ago. I was going from site to site to site and training employees and teams. And it's really one of my favorite things. When I get the chance to stand in a room, it could be a conference room, could be a big room, could be a small room, doesn't matter. Look employees, frontline team members right in the eye and work with them on hospitality skills, to do the role playing, to have the interaction, to teach them the basic blocking and tackling moves. That is such a great day for me. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I would tell you, I had the privilege of working with some smaller groups because everybody loves the big room. I got a lot of speaker friends and they're always talking about the big room, and I've spoke to rooms of hundreds, but I've also spoke to rooms of dozens. And this past week, I spoke to rooms of tens. And there's something really amazing when you get a group of 10 or less in a room and you get the chance to work with them face to face, the amount of interactivity that you get, the ability to really touch folks and make sure that they're understanding what's going on, the ability to hear their personal stories, and to make sure that every single person gets individualized attention and walks away with a high level of retention of all the information we go through. That's a powerful thing, and it's a great thing. It's something that really always reminds me why I do what I do. So if you get the chance in your organization, if you do any kind of training, if you're a training manager or a general manager who trains teams, that kind of stuff, when you get that opportunity to get those group numbers down, when you don't have 30, 40 people in a session, when you can work with 5 to 15 people at a time, it is a powerful moment when folks will walk away and you will have really changed hearts and minds simply because of the fact that it's so interactive, it's so personalized that they can't help but walk away feeling great about that experience. So keep those groups small. It was a good reminder to me as I went through and trained some really, really large groups and some smaller groups during that week when I was in New York. Again, always a great reminder if you're doing that kind of really personalized training. And then today, as we're kind of dialing in on our main topic, as I've been out and about, I've been doing a lot of anecdotal research, a lot of conversation with guests and customers, at the point of service, and really talking about these hospitality insights that really drive it home for customers, for guests, really, in the moment of truth, as they say. And I wanted to share a few with you as I head off into the sunset for a much deserved week off, at least in my own mind. These few things I wanted to share with you that you can really take some action on over the next week. The first is around personalization. Everybody loves things that are just for them. And I did some focus groups and some conversation with customers over the past week or two, and then some stuff that I've been working on for the past 6 months. And personalization continues to come to the forefront. So tailoring those experiences to the guest preferences, understanding the data and feedback you get from your guests, that customer understanding and that journey mapping to really dial in that personalized service, whether it's knowing a guest's name, knowing their favorites, giving them the ability to customize their experience. I always think of the Subway model. People give a lot of flack to the Subway brands and Chipotle and folks like that. But I would tell you the ability to walk up and say, I want this and not that, heart of personalization. The other thing is around staff training. I've been seeing a lot of opportunity out there around having staff that's knowledgeable about their roles, but also understanding the basic behaviors that drive great customer service and hospitality. So making sure that your team understands what does it mean to give great service and how do they contribute to that? And then are they competent and confident in their jobs? Can they communicate effectively? Can they solve problems? Are they culturally sensitive? Are they finding ways to learn people's names and preferences? All of those things. And then technology. Technology continues to be a lever that we can pull. So whether it's using it to streamline operations, whether it's using it for productivity, whether it's using it to make customers' lives easier, whatever you can do to leverage technology and making sure that they all tick and tie together, that is a great way to drive success when you think about the overall guest experience. Good feedback mechanisms. This has been a real bugaboo for a lot of folks I've been working with here lately, is not getting a lot of customer feedback. And I think anyone who surveys people or even has been surveyed knows that it's getting tougher and tougher to get responses. People are over-surveyed. There's survey fatigue out there for sure. So understanding how can you get that feedback? Do you need to go old school, right directly to what we used to call table touches in restaurants, or intercept surveys with a clipboard, or a good old-fashioned comment card box? I know these all sound like really low-tech solutions, but at this point, I think we're willing to try anything to get folks to fill out those surveys. And again, that personalized touch may be a way to get folks to fill them out. The other thing that I've been seeing is the shorter the survey, the better the response rate. So there's a chamber here in Central Florida where I live, and they do a fantastic job of asking a one-question survey. They figure out the most important thing they want to know from their membership, and the chamber sends it out in their monthly email. And their response rate, since they went from like a 10 or 15 question survey to a one-question survey, and they're really proud about it. They tell them, we need you to answer one question, and that is it. And their response rate is through the roof. It's fantastic. Understanding how important safety and cleanliness is. I will tell you, having come from the restaurant business, having worked in the healthcare space, cleanliness matters, and folks notice. Folks notice if you've been doing your dusting. They notice how clean it is when they walk in. They notice if your store is organized or whatever space you work in. They notice. Even if you're a doctor's office or a lawyer's office or a car mechanic, they're noticing how clean those waiting rooms are. I just went over to the Subaru dealer and had my car looked at, and I would say I walked in, fantastic waiting room. They had fresh coffee in there. They had little snacks that were there for you to take. They had a little gift shop where you could buy t-shirts if you wanted to, but comfortable seating, good Wi-Fi, super clean. It really did satisfy the basics of what you're looking for in a waiting room. They were doing a nice job with it. So next, thinking about ways to integrate in what used to be thought of as kind of the nice to haves. That could be sustainability or community engagement, things like that. So thinking about ways to really have that environmentally conscious piece. So we just had a great podcast a couple weeks ago with Christy Cook from 4XI. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, go on back and listen to it. She does a great job about teeing up how you can add sustainability as a part of your overall customer loyalty strategy. It's really great stuff. Go give it a listen. But at any rate, thinking about how you can really hit that piece around whether it's waste reduction, eco-friendly products, overall sustainability. What does your community outreach look like? Are you doing, the community give back days? Are you partnering with local businesses? Are you really having a chance to really be a part of whatever local community you're a part of? Because that is really important to have that connectivity throughout the area in which you serve. Consistent quality is a big one. And it's funny, if you look at the very best folks who do a good job with this, they're not necessarily delivering A+ quality every single time. They may actually be delivering B+ quality, but they're doing it every time. You can always count on it. It's not an A today and an F tomorrow and a C the next day, but it's always delivering that consistently good or consistently very good quality. And when you do that, when you consistently deliver very good, you get credit for world class because you can always be counted on and it's always very good. And so even though it may not be the very, very best, because of your consistency and the fact that you are in the upper echelon, you will be given that A+ credit. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is this idea of innovation. So staying ahead of industry trends, finding ways to integrate in, as I said before, technology with a purpose, experimenting with new things, taking some chances, having the opportunity to listen to your guests and consumers and taking their ideas and putting them into play, staying ahead of the market and trying new things for the good of your guests, never just for the sake of doing something new, but for the sake of doing something new, as I said, with a purpose. So if you can be that innovative, right, get the basic blocking and tackling right, and every now and again throw a little bit of wow in there, you will find yourself well ahead of the marketplace and your competition. And this all comes together with this connective tissue of hospitality, of great service behaviors, of doing the basic things of saying please and thank you and hello and acknowledging your team members and acknowledging your guests and your customers, doing all of those things, making sure that when someone walks into your space or calls your contact center, they feel welcomed, that they know that there's personalized service, there's polite service, there's hellos and thank yous, there are knowledgeable staff members there to take care of them. Everything we've talked about today really connects back to this idea of delivering a great experience that is fueled by hospitality and really just common sense, consistent execution. So folks, that is our show. Never forget, we are still in the middle of the great service comeback. We are fighting those economic headwinds. We are also looking for ways to continue to innovate in a marketplace that is ever evolving and ever changing. And that means keeping our finger on the pulse of what our guests, our customers, our consumers, and our employees all want every single day so we can remain competitive. If you want to learn more about remaining competitive, head on over to Amazon and check out my book, Together We Serve. You can search Together We Serve by Tony Johnson. You can get it on ebook, you can get it on paperback, you can get it on audiobook through Audible. But please check it out and get a copy for yourself and your team today. Until next time, I've been Tony Johnson, your customer experience strategist and trainer, reminding you to keep your customers and your employees at the center of everything you do, because that's where the most amazing things are possible. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will talk to you next week.
This has been Customer Service Academy Radio with Tony Johnson. Tony is available to speak at your event, meeting, or workshop. Have a powerful customer-focused day.